Now, in a normal society, this would be a conversation that people would be having, but unfortunately, we don't live in a normal society. It's just that the people at the top decide what is better for the people at the bottom. And if you contradict the people at the top, well, maybe you're against science, you're against the experts. You need to be censored and shut down because you're pushing misinformation. So what is the conversation that I'm talking about? It comes down to a single question. Should people be allowed to do things that can be bad for them? Because in a free society, the answer is definitely yes. People should be allowed to smoke. People should be allowed to drink. In fact, I would even say something else. People should be allowed to even do something that may be dangerous for others under a certain limit. What that limit is, that's up to negotiation. But here's an example. Driving a car. Driving a car can pose a danger for other people. I mean, there have been countless of accidents where a person is driving under the speed limit, but a cat or a dog jumps in and he tries to avoid the cat because it's a 1 second reaction that you have. And then because of that, the person can run into someone or he can do an accident, right? So just the act of driving in itself poses a risk towards the public. So are we going to have the conversation? Should we ban driving? Should we ban private vehicles so that people are more safe? The way things are going, I don't see why not. I don't see why not. Because you can just have the statistics of how many people die because of car crashes being flaunted in your face. And if you disagree that people shouldn't have cars, they'll be like, oh, so you want people to die? You want people, look how many, look the number, you sick fuck. So the same conversation can be extended to alcohol, because while most people can drink responsibly, there are those who drink and then start driving. There are people who drink and then become violent. So again, it poses a danger for the rest of society if we allow alcohol to exist. So the solution is ban it. We can reach utopia just by banning more and more things until people are safe. And then you can go to other interesting takes, like for example, breakdancing. Should breakdancing be allowed? I mean, what is the benefit of allowing people to breakdance? Because I know what the negative is. I've been at the hospital and we had a 16-year-old kid who during breakdancing had an accident and fractured his cervical. And because of that, he is paralyzed, neck down. He's never going to be walking again. Now, the press could do a public service and focus on that case and then try to push for people to not be allowed to breakdance. Extreme sports. Should they be allowed? I mean, what is the benefit of allowing people to practice extreme sports? Do you know how many people get injured practicing extreme sports? They should definitely be banned. Video games. Should people be allowed to play video games? Well, mostly yes, most people can play video games, but there are those who have an unhealthy addiction to video games and then they spend 12 hours playing video games, which affect their work, affect their job, affect their mental health because of video game addiction. So because of those people, we should ban it for everyone to protect the ones that have the video gaming addiction. I mean, there are people who even got killed because of video games. Like I remember a guy who played Counter-Strike. He got stabbed by another guy who played Counter-Strike because he was cheating. So clearly, we shouldn't allow video games to happen because some people might be violent because of what they play. And is this mentality that is allowed to fester, it's allowed to rot, and is causing now nations like New Zealand, for example, to ban smoking. Now, I want to say I'm not a smoker. I hope my kids aren't going to smoke. But that doesn't mean that I don't think other people should be allowed to smoke. Especially when you have so much legislation to protect non-smokers from smokers. In my country, for example, non-smokers aren't even allowed to smoke inside the building anymore. And you know what? Okay, but why should you ban it? And hasn't this been done in history before? Haven't people banned alcohol, which is far worse than smoking? And didn't this create one of the worst times in US history where the mafia managed to take over and the criminal underworld profited? Why do we not learn from that? It is historical fact. You can check it out. You can see why it didn't work. Why are we reverting back to this? Since when did people agree that it's the government job to keep us safe from anything? And what is the limit? Is there something that we can do that may pose a danger for us And we should be allowed to do it. Obesity, for example. What if I want to stuff my face with McDonald's every day? Should the government come up and say I'm not allowed? What about sugar? Should the government now ban sugar from everything? What about my diet? Should the government have a say in what I get to eat for breakfast? Because I might eat something that is bad for me. I start to feel more like a cow that is being owned by the government, and the government wants the cow to be healthy so that it sacrifices it and then it pulls the taxes out of the cow, rather than an actual human being that's free. At what point do you say that maybe freedom does matter a little bit? Maybe I don't want to be a lion in a zoo that's caged up and gets free healthcare, gets free food, gets a free roof on top of a head, just like a criminal in a prison. But it doesn't have liberty. It doesn't have any choice. My example with extreme sports is probably the best one, because extreme sports are definitely not necessary. They don't help society in any way, shape, or form. The only reason people do extreme sports is because they like it. So they enjoy doing extreme sports, and they assume the risk which may follow by doing extreme sports. But should these people be banned? Because according to the new mentality, is like definitely 100% yes. So now you have in New Zealand a ban on tobacco, which, by the way, experts desire that this model be introduced in other states. So they want to ban tobacco everywhere. It's kind of weird because you live in a time when marijuana is becoming legalized, but on the other hand, tobacco is being banned. I mean, okay, that's interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised if the environmentalists start talking about how smoking raises the CO2 emissions and how we need to ban smoking. I really wouldn't be surprised about it at this point. So apparently in New Zealand, which is the most expensive place in the world to buy a pack of cigarettes, I think it's around $20 a pack. Not because tobacco is more expensive to be delivered there, but because the government is taxing on it, is now deciding to have a historic day for the health of our people. Oh my God, it's like, look, if people don't want to be healthy, leave them the fuck alone. Although I do understand that in a public healthcare system, your health is my concern because I'm paying taxes, so I want to know where my taxes are going. So yeah, like, theoretically, in a public health system, everyone needs to be healthy because it's a responsibility now. But still, I mean, come on. Really? What's next? That's the question. Like, you now have a business into banning things. So the question is, like, what comes next? And just to make it clear, even if you want everyone to stop smoking, just banning it doesn't make it go away. Like the Americans noticed with alcohol. So the government announced the rising age alongside other measures to make smoking unaffordable and inaccessible to try reach its goal of making country entire smoke-free. The fact that these people can't sleep at night if you put a ciggy in your mouth should concern you. What, you know, like, here's the thing, right? Like, these people, they get to dictate your life. Do you get to dictate the life of those people? Is it like an equal street? Do you get to force them to live by your rules? No, they get to force you to live by theirs. How is this normal? So the legal amount of nicotine is being reduced. It's cutting down the shops where ciggies could legally be sold, increasing funding to addiction services, blah, 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 blah. People age 14 when the law comes into effect will never be able to legally purchase tobacco. New Zealand smoking rates have been dropping over time. Here's something fun. In America, the smoking is also dropping. Isn't that fascinating? And America doesn't need to do any of this fascist shit. It's simply like, because it's allowed, people just choose to stop smoking. Like, they're smoking less. Seriously, like, look at the charts. People in the United States smoke less than people in Europe. And you don't need any of this fascist shit in order to accomplish it. So anyway, the policies were welcomed by public health experts. New Zealand once again leads the world, this time with a cutting-edge smoking-free implementation plan. Yeah, thank you for leading the world with fascism. That's what fascism really is. You know, people keep using the word, but it's basically like the government controls your mind and your actions and your behaviors for the good of everyone. That is how it's advertised, right? Nothing outside the state, nothing against the state, everything within the state. In other words, just do what you're told. Like, the people in power, they know what's best for you. Just do what you're told, because you're dumb, you're stupid, you're a child. Let mommy and daddy from big government take care of everything for you. All you need to do is to go to work and make money. And have some kids. And once you have the kids, the government will educate them and they're not your concern anymore. So anyway, smoking has already been widely replaced by vaping. And I'm really curious if vaping companies had something to do with this. A little bit of lobbying here and there, huh? Or is that a conspiracy theory? Probably it's a conspiracy. Because now everything is a conspiracy theory. Like when you suspect that the people who are making money might have a vested interest in to make more money, that's a conspiracy theory, isn't it? The plan has come under criticism from some parties. The act has argued that reducing the nicotine in products will hit lower income people hardest, who will have to buy more ciggies and smoke more to access the same dose. So the problem isn't that the government is now using the principle that safety über alles, that it's very important to keep people safe under any circumstance, especially safe from themselves. No, that's not the problem. The problem is that the poor people might not afford the ciggies. Okay, I understand. Evidence indicates that the amount of tobacco being smuggled into New Zealand has increased substantially. Yeah, no fucking shit. Wow, who would have known? Oh my god. Oh, criminals are profiting off of this? Wow. Who would have imagined? Initial plans for smoke-free generation of New Zealanders have now been finalized after public consultation. They first appeared in April. They will still need to pass through the legislative process, but should not face any obstacles. Smoke-free 2025 is the headline of the Labour policy, and the party holds a majority in New England. Look. Let me tell you something, right? If people from New Zealand want to live like that, great. You know, that's why we have democracy. Maybe they genuinely want to live like that. Maybe the 80% or how many people that aren't smokers in New Zealand, they really want no one to smoke. Perfect. Please don't bring that shit here. Please don't bring it here, and I'm a non-smoker. I just don't want this to set a precedent for the government to then decide that, maybe sugar should be banned. Maybe greasy meat should be banned. This is literally like in the Demolition Man movie, where meat is banned, sugar is banned, people aren't allowed to touch themselves, they can't shake hands, they can't have sex. People reproduce in the lab because it's a lot more safe. Why would you want to live like that? A life of safety isn't a life worth living. That's what I have to say about that. If you want safety, go to a maximum security prison. You'll be safe there. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.